Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another manga review. And today we will be reviewing Fairy Tail Volume 55 from Hiro Mashima, which is the continuation of the final arc. And there are all sorts of crazy battles here. In the last volume, where we left off, Natsu had actually confronted Zeref and was going to use the last of Igneal's power, which he had concealed in his right arm. And just all sorts of crazy stuff going on. You see on the cover that you actually have Lucy and Happy crying, and just some crazy plot revelations and some sad moments there. But also a lot of cool battles, particularly with Wall and Loxus. And in the last volume, we saw Wall had like a mechanical body which he sent to Magnolia, and Ichiya actually saved the day there, but it turns out it was just a mechanical body, and his real body is making his way. And also, we had the villain Agiel, who was defeated by Urza, and also Brandish, defeated by Lucy, not killed, but locked up. And you also see Brandish on the cover as a mermaid, and we see a familiar face in this volume, and I can't wait to show you guys that. So let's get right to this. Look at that, we got Loxus. Loxus has a great moment towards the end, and that's the other thing too. They had called for all the other guilds to help out and join the battle. So here's Sabretooth right there with Sting, Rogue, and Minerva, and the two Exceeds, of course. So Natsu made his way to confront Zeref, and Invel is here, which is like Zeref's right-hand man. And I think they said there was 1 million troops here. With one attack, Natsu wiped out like 1,000 of them, or some crazy shit like that. And you see he has like Igneal's insignia on his arm, and he only has the ability to use it twice. And Zeref was actually talking like, oh, maybe Natsu really does have the power to kill an immortal, because he has the power of the dead within his right arm, you know, because Igneal died many volumes ago. And that's what Natsu says, come on, Igneal, give me a little more power, just one more shot and I can finish him off. And Zeref reveals to Natsu, I am your brother. My name is Zeref Dragneal. You know, same as Natsu Dragneal, which we actually knew this all the way back at the end of the Tartaros arc. Zeref was sitting there and he had the book of END, and he revealed END stands for Aetherius Natsu Dragneal. And, you know, Natsu didn't know, but we the readers knew. So this is the big reveal for Natsu. He's like, come on, you're not making any sense. What's this crazy talk? Nonsense. And that's where he says, END, you're the greatest demon of them all. Aetherius Natsu Dragneal. And you just look at the shocked look in Natsu's eyes and happy looking on, like, oh, what do you mean? Don't believe what he's saying, Natsu. And Zeref pulls out the book, END. You know, because the thing is, Zeref, this chapter is called 400 Years. Zeref has been around for 400 years and has been cursed and he can't die, so he's an immortal. He's been trying to die for all this time and has finally come to the conclusion that maybe Natsu can kill him, but with Natsu's attack, it didn't really faze Zeref, so he's like, oh, it's fruitless. I'll prove to you that you are END. And he takes the book and he shoots it with a magic beam, and as he pierces the book, Natsu's screaming in pain, proving that, well, Natsu is END. And he tells the story in the past about how 400 years ago, they created the Dragon Slayers to defeat Acnologia, and there were 5 Dragon Slayers, Natsu, Gajiel, Wendy, Sting, and Rogue, and they were entrusted by this woman named Anna to go through the eclipse and defeat Acnologia in a time rich in magic, you know, because Acnologia had wreaked havoc in the past, and they had to train these Dragon Slayers to defeat him in the future, I suppose. And look at the resemblance of this Anna right here. Oh, actually, sorry, that's Layla. I'm getting ahead of myself because I mentioned in the past, I finished reading this series, so I hope I don't spoil things volume to volume here, but I know how things end. So this is Layla, right? Look at the resemblance. Layla Heartfilia. This is Lucy's mother. And this woman named Anna had to open the gate from her side 400 years in the past so that Layla, Lucy's mother, could open the gate on the date July 7th, 777, which is the day when Natsu and all his friends lost the dragons. You know, they thought the dragons had disappeared, when in all actuality, the dragons were inside them all along. And we learned a little bit about that during the Grand Magic Games arc, and then even more so in Tartaros, when they all came to battle Acnologia and stop Face. So Natsu's not having any of it. He's like, I don't want to hear your crap. Screw you, Zeref. And Zeref says, well, if you destroy me, you'll die too. And as Zeref says that, he starts crying, which is pretty crazy. And then Natsu doesn't care. He's like, so what if I do? I gotta stop you once and for all. And then Happy starts crying, no, Natsu, don't do it. I don't want you to die. You're my friend, Natsu. And he saves Natsu from, attacking Zeref, which I don't think Natsu would have killed him anyway, but Happy doesn't want his friend to die, his best friend that he's known his whole life when he hatched as an egg all those years ago. It's like, oh no, poor Happy. So he takes him away, and then Zeref is like, oh, nothing can stop me now, that fool. So, we get me some new garments and feel something befitting of an emperor. And they continue their march, and Happy's recounting everything that's gone down. And, Natsu looking at for his friend, are your paws okay? Because he's on fire there. And he's like, you'll always be my friend, Natsu. That's for sure. And look at him, he's going over to hug him. There has to be another way. We have to save you. Poor guy. So it cuts over here to more of the Spriggan 12. There's Wolf, his real body, and then Demaria, who we met last time. And again, I'm going to be mentioning this a lot throughout the next few volumes till the end. But with these new villains we saw with Brandish and now with Demaria, goddamn, all the female characters are so hot, dude. I mean, no question. And then they also talk about this other one, Nineheart, who's waiting in the ship, and he'll make his appearance later. So the reinforcements arrived. We got Kagura, we got Leon, and look at all these forces. It's crazy. So they're here to battle, and Kagura is leading them. Let's go forward. We got to protect Fairy Tail. And then it shows over here where we have Blue Pegasus and Sabretooth with Minerva, Yukino, Hibiki, and all the others. And they're going up against this dude named Bloodman. Look at this fucker. He's pretty scary looking. Who also known as the God of Death. And then we also got this in the last volume where we saw the 4 emperors of Ishgal, Warid, Jorah, and then these other 2 idiots, so I don't even remember their names, and you'll see in a minute why I don't remember their names, because they're more or less jobbers. I mean, they're hyping them up as the strongest wizards in the whole land, and the whole continent, and they go up against this dude named God Serena, who's a defector, who's joined, Zeref and his goons now, and he's here with this dude named August, and another guy named Jacob, also known as the Assassin. He has a skull on his head, look at him. So, and there's Brandish all locked up. And then this Marin, who is Brandish's associate, is like, oh, I'm coming to rescue. Psych! And he starts choking her. And you hear her start screaming. And with all the screaming, Lucy eventually rescues her. But it's got some battles here with Leon, who's in his magic. And then you got Wall, who's trying to find the most powerful ponies, firing all his missiles there. And then Kagura doing battle against Demaria, both the swordswomen. And what Demaria's power is she can stop time. And in stopping time here, she humiliates Kagura and rips her clothes off. So this is cutting back to, we saw that other asshole trying to kill Brandish. And Lucy and Kana saved her, and they're giving her medical aid with Porliuska there. And Lucy wants to know more about Layla, because last time, before they locked her up there, Brandish knew Lucy's mother, Layla, and didn't really expand much upon it. And they start talking about that. And she says her mother's name was Grammy, who was a servant of Layla all those years ago. And when Layla stopped being a celestial spirit, she entrusted her keys with her servants. Zoldio got Capricorn. We remember that from the Sirius Island arc. Look at him. Total villain, right? Spedo got Cancer. And then Grammy got Aquarius's key, which Lucy's like, well, what do you mean? My mother gave me Aquarius's key. And Brandish says, well, because Grammy was killed. Your mother stole the key and killed my mother. And then she starts battling Lucy, trying to choke her. Look at this position, man. Holy shit. And with tears in her eyes, Brandish says, I have to kill you. You have to die. And as all this is going on, you see the water starts making some movement. And Aquarius shows up. It's like, Aquarius? What? Because if we go back to volume 45, I believe, during the Tardos arc, Lucy sacrificed Aquarius to summon the Celestial Spirit King. But she's back here for a moment, and she actually tells Lucy, you get a nice heartfelt moment between the two of them, and she tells Lucy that, because a year has passed now, and her key has actually been reborn. It's somewhere, we don't know where, and she actually tells Lucy, when this is all over, you go find that key and reunite with me. So we'll be seeing that in Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest at some point in the sequel manga series, I would assume. And that's all this is going on. Because Aquarius, she was always doing this to Lucy. Hey, I asked you the question, answer it, you brat. Always screaming at Lucy. And she starts making fun of Brandish. She's like, you'll never get a boyfriend with that attitude, which she always said to Lucy as well. And you see she starts slapping her. It's great. So what happens is Aquarius decides to tell him the true story of what happened to Layla in the past and have this vision because Aquarius is a mermaid. She turns Lucy and Brandish into mermaids themselves. Because why not? Look at the two of them. And then we learn about Anahartphilia, Lucy's distant ancestor. And this is all like what's going on and how Natsu and all of them were sent 400 years into the past and how it coincides of Zeref being 400 years old. And with the Eclipse Gate, which we learned about this during the Grand Magic Games arc, you can fucking time travel with this thing. So Anna, from 400 years in the past, was on one end of the gate, and then Layla was on the other end of the gate. And they opened the two gates for the Dragon Slayers to make their way here. And in doing so, what happened was Layla she needed 12 keys, but she only had 11 because she gave the Aquarius key to Grammy. And she was still able to open the door, but it caused such a strain on her magic power that she, started to die. And then Grammy came back and said, well, at least give the key to Lucy. And they start crying. And as Grammy's leaving with tears in her eyes because she knows that Layla's going to die using all that magical energy, not, in a matter of years or so, she's just going to pass away. And this asshole, Zoldio, from behind shows up and stabs her and says, it's all your fault. Layla-sama going to die. It's all your fault. And what Grammy says is, fine, take my life, but spare my daughter Brandish, will you? Honor my dying request. And hearing the truth, Brandish starts crying because she realizes that Lucy's not bad after all. And really, Layla wasn't that bad after all. And they hug each other, and it's a really nice scene right here. And she says, can we be friends? And as all this is going on, you got Aquarius watching. Happy comes racing in. Help! Help! Natsu isn't moving. I don't know. He's in danger. Oh, poor Natsu. Look at Happy. But good thing poor Lyuska is here so she can treat Natsu. And she figures out that he has an anti-ether nano tumor in him from using all this magic. She says, every time this boy does anything, he overdoes it. He's been letting his magic overheat for years. But Happy's not revealing the truth of what he learned about how if Natsu kills Zeref, he'll die, and also how Natsu is END. And with all this, Brandish says, take off these restraints so I can use my magic. Because she can manipulate the size of things, she decides to shrink the tumor inside him so that all the pain will subside. But she also agrees to go back in her cell, which is interesting because, in knowing the truth about Layla, she doesn't want to cause any more harm to Lucy or her friends. So I got ahead of myself because, like I said, I've read all this shit. But this is where Aquarius says that the key's been reborn because it's been a year since the key was destroyed. It's in another continent. So on your next adventure, look for me, Lucy. And I believe that is the case in Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, which I have not read yet, but I am definitely going to read it soon. So Lucy says, I'm going to go find it. After all, you're one of my best friends. So, as she disappears, Natsu says, when the fighting's done, we got something we want to do. And then Lucy says, and now so do I. We can't fail. So it's giving you some recap of what's going on. Kagura and Leon are here, and they sort of push back Wall and Demaria, and Kagura's like, oh, that witch humiliated me. And it gives us a little fan servicey stuff where, her underwear remains, but of course her top is gone, and everyone's got, nosebleeds. Some good stuff. And then you got this guy, Bloodman, who is just, wherever he goes, he's having this murderous gas kill everybody or whatever. And then we got God Serena here, who wiped out the Jobbers 4. And you got August and Jacob just looking on. And Mavis can sort of feel their spiritual pressure. And Ward's like, oh no, Mavis, Yuri pricked, I'm coming to join you now. Assuming that he's going to die. But what happens is, if I'm going down, I'm bringing you with me, God Serena. And he can manipulate the trees and wood and whatnot. So that's what he does. And everyone gets up for one final attack here. But it's really not enough. And then Jacob sort of gestures that he's going to join the battle, but August is like, oh, stand back for now. God Serena will unleash his true power. And God Serena, let me show you his back here. He has 8 different dragon attributes. He uses fire, water, the moon, the wind, all these different attributes. and he just starts wreaking havoc, and this is why I'm calling these guys the Jobbers 4, because they really are. And they're like, oh, he's so powerful. We have to help the guild. What's going on? Wait a minute. What's this magical pressure? You see a shadow. And Acnologia has finally joined the battle. I smell dragon. And, God Serena claims to be a dragon slayer himself. But Acnologia one-shots him. One punch right through the chest there. Eliminates him. Only 7 more now. I will wipe out all traces of dragons from this world. Ha ha ha. Interesting that he didn't touch these 2 guys. He's only concerned about killing the Dragon Slayers. So, and you guys all know who they are if you've been following along. So they're looking on to see if Natsu's doing well. We see Freed's recovering. Ichiya, look at him. He's recovered. The MVP of the last volume. Look at this dude. Men, I hope you haven't forgotten about me. And don't forget about Ichiya, because he will be back in another triumphant surprise return. Just you wait. So we have the other forces making their way to help. You got Urza, Wendy, Carla, Juvia, and Gray. And then Juvia's like, oh, Gray-sama, I have a sleeping bag built for 2. Oh. And Gray's like, oh, no way, it's too hot in there. And then Gray notices Loxus, who in the battle against Tartaros, that was like, what, 2 arcs? 2 or 3 arcs ago. It was like the last big arc. And Loxus was infected in what's known as devil particles, which I guess was a mistranslation, because here they call it anti-magic particles, and they're still in his chest, and every now and then he gets weak. And you see he's huffing and puffing here, and he tells Gray, don't say a word, I'll still fight, I can still get up there and protect the guild. So then everyone's, resting, and poor Juvia, I mean, Urza looks pretty comfy, and let me tell you, if I were Gray, I don't know, man, I'd be snuggled in there. But look at Juvia. She's like, no, I want to snuggle with Gray-sama. The poor girl. Maybe she'll eventually get her wish. So then we're over here. We got the other faction. We got the Strauss family with Elfman, Lasana, Mira Jane, as well as Gagio, Pantherly, and Levy making their way. And Levy's like, oh, why'd you guys bring me? I'm not as strong as everybody else here. And then Gagio does this cute little scene like, oh, I'm putting you under arrest for putting doubt on yourself. And, in the last arc, he was part of the Magic Council in charge of arresting people. So he still has that persona. And he's like, I'll protect you. I'll make sure we make our way back to the guild. Don't you worry. So then it goes back to the battle over here, where they're getting ready for round 2. And Sheria's joined the battle. And this time, Demaria's fighting against Sheria. And she does the same tactic where she stops time, rips off her clothes. And then Wendy steps in. And the 2 Sky Sisters are reunited. And then, look at this, we got Juvia and Gray going in to help Leon. And then Urza stepping in to help Kagura. So you gotta love how all the former friends, not former friends, former enemies actually, because early on in the series, Gray and Leon had a little feud. And then same thing with Urza and Kagura. But they've all, become friends, and they're here to help each other in battle. So it's a great moment there. And then we have Loxus going up against Wall, who this guy was attacking the Raging Tribe last time, so Loxus is out for revenge. And some good stuff, some great matchups. And, we got all sorts of great battles. And good stuff. So I really love the design of this character, Wall, how he's human, but he also has, robot attributes. They call him, the mechanical alchemist or some shit. So that's pretty cool. And he can sort of analyze people's weaknesses and whatnot. And he actually determines that Loxus has the anti-magic particles. Yeah, it says he's the mechanical alchemist, the swordswoman. And then, so what happens is Urza and Kagura are figuring out, all right, Loxus is fighting this dude. We got Wendy and Sheria fighting her. But we sense one more near the port, so let's go eliminate that one. And they make their way there. And then what happens, this is a funny moment, where Carla gives Sheria Wendy's jacket, and then Sheria's like, oh, it's a little tight. Making fun of Wendy because, she's the immortal lolly of the series, because the 2 of them are the same age, but you can compare the bust size. So you gotta love that moment. And again, she can stop time by, clicking her teeth together, which is interesting. And there's Loxus doing his battle. And getting his ass kicked here, where the anti-magic particles kick in, and he can't really move. So he starts firing away, and we get this cool moment where like his shirt gets ripped off, and just look at this dude. He's got like a 8-pack, just starts pummeling away at him. And that's that. So another thing that Loxus does is because he's good friends with Freed, he's able to activate a Jutsu Shiki, and he does that, and in doing so, he traps Wall to deactivate it, but also in doing that, it's a sort of convoluted mess that also deactivates Loxus's anti-magic particle, so he's able to use his ultimate attack. And you see his face right there. And he starts charging this red-black lightning. And we get a flashback here where Mavis encourages him, saying that she reminds him of Yuri, who is Makarov's father and also Loxus's great-grandfather, who also used lightning magic. And using his ultimate attack here, Reiko, red lightning! You see like the spirit of Yuri helping him. Great shot right there. I love that. So it ends right there. Great volume, some cool battles, and we got a lot of good stuff coming next time. Look at this one. Loxus lost the cover. Here's the preview for next time. We got Jacob, who fights Lucy, and then some more battle against Demaria, and another familiar character appears there as well. So great stuff, man. You know, a lot of people don't like the ending of Fairy Tail because they think the last arc is convoluted because there's so many characters. I will concede that there are a lot of characters, but I do feel like the main characters all wrap up their stories nicely. A lot of the side characters, they have like their moment here and there, and you know, their moments are fine. They could have probably been better, but the main characters, as in like Natsu, Lucy, Gray, Urza, they all shine, and it's just written perfectly. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and stay tuned for my review of Volume 56 coming soon. So have a great day, guys.